In this class, we will understand how to declare, initialize and access two-dimensional array in C programming language. So let's get started with our first part, which is declaring a two-dimensional array. So how the declarations ought to be done? First is the data type has to be used and the name of the variable two-dimensional array. And this is the important part. In this two-dimensional array declaration, we need two indices. All you need to understand is two indices are required, and very important point to remember is the first index always represents the row, the number of rows in the two-dimensional array, and the second index always represents the number of columns in the two-dimensional array. So this is how a two-dimensional array will get declared. And very important point to remember is, this is very important. Why I'm stressing is it is having its own importance in the later coming concepts like pointers. Okay, so there it is very important to remember that the first index always represents the row value and the second index always represents the column value. Okay, now coming to the second part, which is initialization of a two-dimensional array, means while declaring the array itself, if you want to provide the values to that array, so this is how the initialization is done. So in this entire array, we are having 3 rows and 5 columns. So 3 rows. So here we are having 3 and 5, two values. The row index represents that there are 3 rows and there are 5 columns. So each row is having 5 elements, and this entire outer curly braces represents the array itself. Now within this array, we are having 3 sets of curly braces, and each set is having 5 values. Each curly brace set is having 5 values, which is representing 5 columns in an array. Try to understand this. So this is how the initialization of an array is done, and whenever this particular line of code will get executed, what happens, what kind of visualization that we need to have is, so this is how the array will get represented. So this is what the two-dimensional array representation means. So a table kind of array will get declared on the memory, not exactly like this. So we will understand that in our later class, next coming class. So this is the kind of visualization that we need to have. So this kind of visualization we need to have whenever a two-dimensional array has been initialized. And the third very important point is accessing the elements. So here how to access the elements of an array is, I have created an integer array called mark, and to this array I am storing a specific mark of the student. Now can you guess which value will get stored into this mark? So pause this video and try to guess which among all these values, which value will get stored in this variable mark, and means what is that value which we are accessing by this declaration. So here I am saying that 0th row and 3rd column element. So this is our 0th row and this is our 3rd column element. So the combination of these two, where it is getting intersected, this is what the value 39 is, the value that we are storing it in the marks variable. So the value stored in the marks is 39. So this is how these are the indices that are to be used to access a specific element in an array. Okay, so just if you visualize this using an apartment building analogy that we have discussed in our previous video, it is just the address of the apartment building, apartment within the entire multi-stored apartment building complex. Okay, so this is how we access the elements of a two-dimensional array. So that's it for this video. Now in the next video, we will understand very important concept, how the elements are stored on the memory. So will the same table will get created on the memory? No. Memory is linear and we are following that from our very first beginning of this course. So the same linear structure is used, but how these tabular form will get stored onto the memory, that we will try to understand in our next coming class. So that's it for this video. See you in the next class.